Welcome to the Sunday Comics Brunch, where we dine on comics and comics headlines, hosted by Mr. Anderson and Meredith Logren. Join them and their guests as they go over the comics headlines from this week and their projects, brought to you by the Comics News Wire and Geek Insider. Warning and disclaimer. The views and opinions expressed on this live feed are those of the guests, speakers, and or hosts, and do not necessarily reflect the beliefs, official policies, ethics, or positions of the content providers, advertisers, additional hosts, and or guests, hosting sites, groups, or entities attached to this programming. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody. This is Meredith Logren, and I am waiting for Rob Anderson to pop back in here. But this is Sunday Comics Brunch. Guess what? We're on episode 11, and it is the Sunday before Christmas. So everybody who celebrates, we want to wish you a very happy, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Let me just pull this down and say hello. So if you're not familiar with who I am the associate editor of Geek Insider, as well as the executive producer of the Geek Insider podcast. And this will be going up onto our podcast later on this afternoon. Pretty cool news is the Geek Insider podcast has finally been accepted on Pandora. So we are streaming through the major live streaming and podcasting services. So that's pretty cool. We're on iHeartRadio, Pandora now, Amazon Music, iTunes, and all that good stuff. And Rob, I'm waiting for you to get back so you can introduce yourself and kind of get on with the topics of the day. Now, we do have an open call as far as if you want to pop on here and join us for brunch. And we put the call out on the newsroom, for any of our other podcasters, live streamers, anchors during the Comics News Wire.
I'm on vacation.
Yeah, you want to just introduce yourself really quickly, and then maybe talk about the new schedule that's coming up.
I don't know. I'm on vacation. I don't know. I'm so I'm in pajama pants this morning. We're off for the news for a couple weeks. My screen's even darker. I don't even know. Oh, I got a new light bulb. That's why. I bet you it's it. Because I was getting too much of a shiny face. Now I have the dark, menacing face. So it's all good. I'll turn off the light in a minute. Hey, everybody. You know who I am. I'm the comics advocate. I'm the one who people like to make comments on my threads just to piss me off and just start fights. But we're in the holiday season. I just want to come hang out, have some fun, talk some comics like we always do. We didn't really format this show too much because it was so close to the holiday, and we just wanted to have like a chill kind of hangout. You're all welcome to come on board, come on and hang out and talk to us about the things we got going on. We're still trying to figure out the schedule though, as far as names. For those who don't know, and I said this, Geek Insider will be where all my interviews are done from now on via Geek Speak. I'm going to do it through the Geek Speak brand to help them build that brand up a little bit, because I didn't really have an interview named show. So why build a show if there's one already? Like almost the 60 Minutes, they're all the different anchors that go into the 60 Minutes and report and journalists. Why not do something like that? So all of our actual interviews will be through there, which we actually have one coming up on Monday. I got to talk to Meredith about tomorrow. To do with the 8-page challenge. Oh, you have the Comics News Wire. You actually have the wrong brand. So the 8-page challenge, it's not a big deal. I got it. The only reason I noticed it is because I was literally going to say the Creators Connection Panel 1 was the 8-page challenge that we had gone through this year, and we're going to be talking about that a lot in the coming weeks. It's weird because December, it almost like the breaks go on. Even the news I collected today, a lot of it is just like, hey, the best of this year. Hey, it's this and that. There's some Mandalorian news. Don't worry, we're not going to talk about that today. It's too soon, too fresh. We know that. Go out. We're going to give you the time to listen to it and talk about it. I guarantee you your time's running out, though. And in all fairness, Meredith, I got rid of 10 people from my friends list who decided to just blurt out stuff.
Really?
Like show screen caps and all that. And wow. I was too excited not to share this. I don't want you as a friend. Like, I don't care. And I knew some of these people for a while. Like, not the closer friends, not one someone I would consider close did it. So that tells you I have good close friends because they know better than to do something like that. You have to be like, and I said this week, you have to be kind of a scumbag to ruin something for someone else because we're all going to get excited about it, right? Those are those excited moments. And I'm not going to talk about it because even talking about it can give things away, and I'm aware of that. I'll just say that it was like a beautiful moment that I don't want to take away from anyone else. And it's that simple. It really just comes down to that. I hate people who spoil things. Accidentally is one thing. And please, for the love of God, guys, if you were going to post your spoiler thread and you do the little dot, so people have to do see more, please be aware your comments still show. So while you're commenting on your own thread, you're still spoiling it, and people can see those spoils without meaning to. You want to talk to people about what's going on? That's why you have a private messenger. Set up a group with a couple friends. Be respectful of all the fan base and the fandom. You know, there are a lot of people who are now deciding whether or not they even want to get Disney Plus now, based on some of the things they've heard about just people's reaction, not spoils, but just reactions to how excited people are. I know Meredith was even like, maybe. Mm-hmm. And like 2 months ago, it was like, never. They've burnt me. I've seen The Last Jedi. I've seen Solo. It's not going to happen.
I'm still well in that lane, but I'm being convinced because my husband is like, I asked him about The Mandalorian, and I hear a little bit of an echo. So I have asked him about The Mandalorian. He's like, hell yeah, I'd do that, but I don't know if I want to pay for Disney Plus. I'm like, well, if we pay for Disney Plus, something else has got to go.
Hulu, if you get Hulu, you can get a bundle deal, actually. For those wondering about that, there is like a bundle deal right now going around. You get ESPN, but no one uses it. That's why it's in the bundle. They knew they could give it. No one's using this anyway. Let's just try it. All right. But as far as the shows go, what Meredith was talking about, we're taking off Mondays going forward, and we're leaving it to the Geek Speak. That'll be an interview day. I'll try to schedule my interviews during Geek Speaks on Mondays. Tuesdays, we will have a show. We're still trying to figure out the name. I threw out some suggestions today in the anchor room that we have. We'll see what we come up with. Wednesdays will be back or pause. Yes, it's going back to Wednesdays. For some reason, you know what it is, though? It was there for so long on Wednesdays. I think people were like thrown when I moved it to Tuesdays. Sometimes you can't move it. It's like network shows. When they move their network shows, they see problems. Yeah, that's what happened. So I put it back on Wednesdays, New Comic Book Day. We tried something. Didn't work. I hear you. It's back on Wednesdays. Thursdays, again, will be a good day for interviews. Fridays will be week ended, where Michael C. Lanning is going to be the top anchor, and he's going to be running things from now on. While I'll still be there as long as I don't have a convention or something going on, but I'm going to be teaching Michael and Meredith how I do everything behind the scenes. And we're going to continue to try to grow it. We don't see a need for a daily news program because a lot of it came down to people even asking, well, what day was I on? What could I share? It became a little problematic, but who knows what we'll see. Remember, we also have the return of the Comic-Con Highway coming in 2021. We don't know when yet, but it'll be back. The show that did not get to air much this year, I think it ended in March 13th, so was when we went into the whole lockdown. Everything was canceled right away. I think the last show we saw for that was somewhere in March. Do it, Meredith. So worth it.
That's for Disney Plus.
Yeah, definitely for the Disney Plus. But I'm going to actually keep that if I can for every program from now on, and just use that as a screen cap that I have show up in the bottom whenever I want to motivate Meredith to do something. But you know, we're changing the way we do the shows because we developed. I mean, this year has been a wealth. I mean, here we are. Let's be honest. We're at the end of the year. We're all thinking about it. Sure, there's Christmas, but I think Christmas is always overrun by the idea that the year is running out. A lot of us can't help but look back. And these 2 weekends is going to be a lot of looking back. And while we're waiting to see if anyone else wants to show up, which, by the way, if you guys are watching, you're welcome to come on. This is really just a talk program. We're going to for those who watched in the past, we won't do as many headlines. We'll do headlines as like a filler. Like when we want to talk about something and just throw it around, just have something. If we're not talking about something organically, we'll do it, but we're not trying to do it. Because I think last couple months when we tried to force it in, it hurt the program. Because it felt like we had to stop and talk about it.
Well, if there are headlines, is that echo coming from you?
No, I can hear. I think it's your mic settings because you sound different than you normally do.
All right, hold on a second.
You got that far away, like under the wall.
Yeah, I'm not hearing it anymore though.
Okay, well, if you don't hear it, that's what I'm saying. It might have been that, but I wouldn't stress it.
Okay, and then I lost track of what I was saying.
Oh, don't worry about it. We're talking about the simple fact that we're not doing the headlines.
That's what I remember. Okay, so we were having organic conversations anyway with our guests that were coming in, and we certainly will have open invitations to people. Sometimes it'll just be an open invite period, and we'll have guests and things. But I think it's okay to have the headlines if there's something to talk about, if there is a debate about something or other. That could be interesting, but just to go through and blurt out the headlines and the taglines for those things, probably not. We've been doing that on Friday, and it just feels like we're echoing the same thing on Sunday. But if there's a topic that we've seen online where people are talking about it and they have opposing views, maybe, or something interesting to say about the news, sure, why not?
Yeah, and like Meredith said, this is all going to be about bringing you guys an entertaining show. And me and Meredith talked about that. Because even me picking the headlines, because at first we were going to let you guys pick the headlines, and that was a mess. That did not go well. There were like 5 people who voted in each one, and it made our group almost messy to have it and to try to push it. It was one of those things where we need more of a live poll on the actual threads itself. Like I'd have to build into the threads, hey, what did you think today's, or comments below. And we're going to work on that a little bit this year, getting people to comment directly on our site or when we share an actual thing. And if we hear like a natural rumbling, because like, regular network places, they don't ask you what was a headline. They wait to see what you guys talk about the most. And I do pay attention to what you guys click through. For those who don't know, my site actually allows me to see click-throughs, meaning that when you show up to my thing, when you click a link, I get to see you click the link. I also get to see who clicked a link to get into my site and where they came from. And Meredith will know what I mean by this, but there was always people who want to try to be involved. And there are people like, oh, I'll put your link on my site if you put your link on I'll put your link on my site if you put my link on your site. Okay, there we go. And I do that, and then I check. And then I try to judge is this working or not? Like we try to give partnerships, but I'll be honest, in 2021, that's no longer going to be my focus. I told myself I would spend 1 year trying to, and this is a good topic, and I invite anyone to chime in on this. It's the whole community versus industry. Even when it comes to promoting people, it seems like there are people who are more interested in working by themselves so they can somehow win an award. I think it's a Kardashian thing. I think people think that they'll chase and win. And you've seen this. Me and Meredith have experienced this, and we're not going to call anyone out, but we've seen some people in this industry make fools of themselves. Jealousy, and all because success was coming their way, but it wasn't on their own merit, and it was other people helping them. And I'm trying to be coy because I don't want the bullshit behind it, and I'm not trying to hurt anyone's feelings. The point I'm trying to make is bigger than a person. It's the fact that ultimately I've learned 3 things about it. And stop me if I'm wrong, Meredith, and I want to hear your point. Because I work with Geek Insider, and I work with Meredith on a lot of things, and she's come to work on my site, and she's busy as hell, but she still helps out. So there was a real organic relationship. We tried several organic relationships this year and did not work. And I think that's for the 3 reasons. 1, people get involved in advocating just to make themselves look better. They do it around when they have a project. We see people coming, like when they're about to do something, suddenly they're the biggest fan in the world of everybody. And then they disappear. until their next Kickstarter is about to happen. And then all of a sudden they're the biggest advocate for everyone in the world, and they're using the idea of advocacy. By the way, no one was called advocating for comics until me. And that's not even because of me. Someone gave me that term, and I've now seen that term in 2020 become something other people try to wield. And I don't care. I encourage it, actually. But don't use it as a tool to sell things, because you're going to make anyone else who goes under that banner look like an ass. And I called someone out this year about that. I'm like, don't do that. Don't call yourself an advocate if all you're doing is advocating for yourself. There's a difference here. You have to be able to do it. And then there's the second person who wants to monetize what they're doing. And hear me when I say this, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with trying to get paid doing this. I mean, CBR, I can go down the list of reputable sites, that want to get paid for their journalism. There's nothing wrong with that. The problem with that is they don't want to cross over with another site. Because at that point, crossing over causes problems because they're not getting the ad revenues. However, with the category number 2, that does not mean there's not back and forth between stories. I do get other journalists from other areas contacting me and asking me about things, and we share details and information. That's a healthy relationship. You just won't see the site that they're on, like ComiX. This is not a site, but like ComiX Covered Today. You'll never see me put their stuff on my site as like a logo that they're an affiliate, and you won't see my stuff on their site, but you might see us quote or share stories. And that's a healthy relationship. And the third people are the ones who really just want egos. They don't understand, and Meredith knows about this, and I'm going to let her talk about this especially. There's no awards for what we do. No one cares. If you monetize it, you can make money. 1 out of 1,000,000 might get a job, like what's his name from the Talking Dead, the nerd guy. I can't even think of his name right now. Or Will Wheaton. He's like Will Wheaton, but for AMC. He had the whole problem last year, actually, about a girlfriend accusing him of horrible things. And ultimately, all of that just comes down to it's better to stay in your own lane. Do what you do. I'm not looking to partner. I'm not looking not to partner with people. I'm just a lot more hesitant after this year. I put a lot of energy. Thank you, Rob. Chris Harwick. Thank you, Rob. If you want to jump on, Rob, you can jump on. Even if you guys want to jump on and tell us about what's going on in 2021, it's the perfect time to promote what you guys are working on in 2021. So it's not hate. I don't hate anyone for it. It's just I spent too much time trying to even give away the advocator moniker that wound up just costing me more time. It's just better to do what I do and do it as long as I can do it. And that's where I'm at right now. And it's not hating on anyone. I'll promote anyone, same as always. We might even look to put advertising on Comic Book Advocates now because, it's time we started making money for what we do. I think CNW's really proven, Rob's sitting with his daughter. Nothing like spending time with your kids. I absolutely advocate for that. I don't go live at night now because of it, actually. Me and Jack's time at a certain time. And, even with that, Jax's mom's moving back to town. So there might be time where I have more free time later in the evening coming up next year. We'll see. Fingers crossed. It is very good for Jax to spend equal amount of time with his mom and his dad for his own development. And he spent the last year, outside of, and I'm not trying to pick on anything, but the situation was he basically saw his mom about 12 times this year. Thank God for Zoom, and everyone knows that, because she lived far away, it became an issue with the whole situation of 2020. It became dangerous at times. You don't know if a cough is a cough or not. So we're all eager to get past this time. So, I welcome everyone to be part of it, and I feel like I'm talking too much, so I'm going to pass it to Meredith now. But I feel like I want to work with everyone. I'm not going to waste another year trying to build people up to take what I do because it didn't work. And I tried with several people, and they all failed is the wrong word. They didn't live up to what I expected wrongly and what I was hopeful for. Does that make sense?
Well, it's really hard because my own work ethic and what I do is not something that I would wish upon anybody else. and because of how I do things, I might have higher expectations. But I wanted to go back to what you were saying as far as being like an advocator. Um, there are a lot of people who say that they're advocates for XYZ and things. And this past year, I I don't want to say that it's starting to turn into a bad word, kind of like influencer. I'm beginning to dislike those words because there are people who are adopting them and they are not necessarily doing the right thing. I don't mind self promotion. I've been terrible at it for the longest time. So when I advocate or use my platforms as an influence to help others speak out for their things, whether it's a cause, whether it's a crowdfund, whatever the case might be. Yes, I am an advocator. I don't embrace that title. I don't embrace influencer, because there are milestones in my head as far as what my social platforms are that I haven't reached. Therefore, I don't feel comfortable maybe accepting those titles or internalizing them or even promoting myself as such.
Meredith,
Um,
just give me 2 seconds.
mhm.
I was just made aware that the comments weren't coming through on Facebook. I had reset it. It didn't take. It's fixed now. We'll get to your comments. I apologize for that. Go ahead, Meredith.
Yeah,
Hi, Mika.
or go over to YouTube and follow us there.
Yeah, YouTube ain't our problem.
But so when it comes to those things, again, those are my own milestones. What I've done way before I met Rob, for other social media platforms, blogging platforms, and things like that, even live streaming, um, I like to pay it forward. And I don't even want that to turn into a bad thing. That I don't use that term very often because it's one of those things. Again, the random acts of kindness and things that is technically paying it forward. So when I understand building a brand, and I understand uh, as far as uh, trying to use whatever tools are necessary. But when it comes to that, I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine. Those follow for follow things. A lot of times those aren't organic. Those become fake numbers, and you don't have those people who are really rooting for you. You need to find those people, and that's a whole marketing thing that we could talk about at another time. But when it comes to backlinks, the age of your website, if you're trying to build up your website and show up higher on the search ranks and the algorithms and things like that, you need to have an older site. Backlinks to older sites are important, but at the same time, for example, Geek Insider, we've been getting a lot of people who contact us who say, "Hey, I'm willing to pay for a backlink or one of my links in an older article or something like that," because they want to have that age so that it shows up so that they become an authority on XYZ, whatever topic that might be. So when you have people like comic book advocates, Geek Insider, Indie Vault, or whatever, and they say, "Hey, we'll write up something for you. We'll put up your press release. It's not going to cost you anything, but do me a favor. Would you share it out on your network so that we get a little bit of love? Because those likes and comments mean a lot to us too." And there are people who do that, not too many, unfortunately. And so a lot of times now it's almost like once bitten, twice shy. And I don't want to get to a point, for me personally, not so much the site. I'm only a representative of the site, okay? That site is not, I don't own it. Um, I'm a representative of it. But my voice matters to them and what they might want to publish or what who they want to bring on. Because if you're not going to do the work to help promote yourself and you're just trying to get on every show for the sake of being on every show, that's not necessarily cool. You have to promote it. I was on, I did a Geek Speak with Luis Cruz. And you know what? He was amazing. He shared it out on his social media. He was out on Instagram. We actually sent text messages to each other, and I see him doing those things because he's helping himself um, in a collaborative way, which I totally appreciate. Other people, like, you never see them again until they need to promote the next thing. And at that point, I think 2021, I think I'm going to have a bigger filter. And I don't want to feel like that. That to me feels like gatekeeping. But the reason is then I want to say, well, ask me why. Ask me why. And so I'll get off my soapbox on that because C. Michael Lanning is here and let him introduce himself.
Oh, hey, I'm C. Michael Lanning. I'm an independent artist working with Silverline and some Terraform stuff. And, of course, the news anchor on Fridays, ComiX Newswire.
Yep. And we're talking about that you stepped in the middle of, so just in case you don't know, we were talking about the fact that, like, this year I tried really hard, and Michael was part of the anchor program. So I'm a type of person who doesn't trust one method. I'm more the scientific method. Why not go 6 different ways and see which one survives and goes? And I always try to reinvent myself and reinvent how I'm doing to learn from the experiences you have and then move forward. This year I had the Devil's Advocate. It was a great show. It was a great show until it became an echo chamber of people agreeing with me.
Right. Yeah.
And then I got bored with it. So we were talking about even how the term advocator had the advocate now. It's one of those things where people just now use it because they've seen me use it and they're using it poorly. And some people I thought could step up just failed, miserably failed. No one, and you know what? I'll even say this: some people were attacked for trying to do it the way I get attacked, and it's a weird. And Michael had mentioned this recently. It's a weird feeling. Some of the reasons I'm going to get attacked, is just jealousy. People want the crown, and they don't understand. There's no crown. There's not even a Burger King crown that comes with this. Not even a cardboard cutout comes with this. Nothing.
You might be lucky to get a thank you, but I did want to say something about that too. Rob and I had a conversation not too long ago about, because he loves comics. I'm learning to love comics. Okay, I'm new into this field, not so much advocating and things, but he loves comics, and he said trying to step away because he has a young son. He needs to get writing again. The cons hopefully will be open, so he's going to be busy with that. And so who's going to step into the void? And I understand that worry.
Yeah.
And one of the things I told him was, hey, if you don't do it, if nobody steps in, nobody steps in. But what if there are people in the wings who are like, he's already doing it, I don't need to. And then maybe they step up, and it might be people you don't, that you might not expect. And so, but that's a big unknown.
Right.
And it was a good point, and it actually brought me comfort because then this was one of those things when I started, I never expected to get so popular doing it. I expected to, like, when I first started, I thought it'd be a year or two and I'd be picked up and have a Hollywood movie, like every new creator. And now this isn't like to the beginning of my career. This is, from when I first launched my first book. We're going on 6 years later now, and it's like, I'm getting there now. I am starting to see those things start to play out. I'm very fortunate. And I understand that you have to, because one of the worst bits of advice we talked about this is the fake it till you make it.
Oh, right.
Hold at the door, and it's the worst thing ever. I made so many mistakes in the beginning. One of the things they also did was, they said, well, try not to have an opinion. And let your work only speak for yourself. And for like the first year, I didn't have many opinions, but I was the guy with the fetish book who just got creamed. People would say nasty things, and I'd be like, I'm sorry you feel that way. And all this, and then it was finally that one day where I'm like, enough.
Yeah.
I'm not getting walked on. People actually would be like, hey, I sent you my information. It wasn't put on your site today. What's going on? And it was like one of those moments where I realized I'm not getting paid for this.
Yeah,
No one's
right.
paying me for this. And now people are literally walking on me. And I'm like, I clearly have not made the persona that I'm a human being.
Right.
Because as an advocate, I was always a cheerleader. And I don't cheerlead anymore. I don't say, but back then I thought that you had to be positive about everything. So if there was something I'd never spend my money, I'd be like, look at this art. It's fantastic. And I realized I thought I was just being a cheerleader, you know, trying to be supportive of everyone. And it took that. It took people watching my stuff, ripping my stuff apart, and making me make it better. Right. And I realized that that was the learning curve. And I've told people I can't cover that. And they'll be like, well, I don't understand why. And I'll be like, do you really want to know? Or are you just going to tell me, oh, my stuff's great? So, because if you really want to know, I'm willing to tell you. But if you're just going to argue with me about how great your stuff is, you're not ready yet.
No, those people are in for the long haul.
Yeah. Or you're just not ready to hear it. Early on, we're so... You're the only person who believes in yourself, and you kind of have to close your ears a little bit, but you forget some people are doing this, and that's dangerous. You got to keep your ears open while walking and realizing, okay, some of this is real. I have to listen to. Some of this is just people hating.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, like, I hate to say it, but there was a lot of haterade this year passed around.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
Drinking the haterade and passing around. I do want to, speaking about love and not hate, and let's talk about some of these comments this morning. Trish had said, good morning, all.
Morning.
I think we showed this, but just in case, Creating Chaos. I think that's a new YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Subscribe to it. Great creator. Coming up. We're going to see her work the next year. If anything,
we will see her work from her, yes.
If you see anything thrown at Michael, it's okay. He deserved it.
Oh. Probably though. That's like I'm open enough to receive that.
I may have deserved that one. Mike says, good morning, you all. Link shared. Thank you so much. Mike says, Trish and I watched the last one just last night and loved it, but I hate spoilers. Yeah, 10 people are now off my friends list. I had one person actually go, oh, you're going to be a child and unfriend me? And they were like, what did I do? And I was like, your Star Wars thread. And they're like, oh, man, grow up. It's just a TV show. And I'm like, now you see why we're not friends.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Like,
if we're not sharing, I hate that. I hate when somebody wants to come up. I try to avoid people there. You always have somebody out there that wants to tell you the whole movie after they've seen it. I try to avoid those people like the plague, like COVID.
All right. So I'm one of those people that I always watch things well after they're cool. Okay. Like they have to be like pretty much dead and maybe checking for a pulse before I normally watch things. So I've been getting a lot of pressure for Disney Plus and watching The Mandalorian and, you know, all of the other things. I might. But what is the deadline for those spoilers? At what point can you talk about it and not worry about pissing other people off? Because like I said, for me, maybe I'll read a spoiler. I'll forget it by tomorrow. So it's good.
But there's some
That's my
spoilers
brain,
you're just not going to forget. And this is one of those spoilers that you're just not going to forget. I would say 5 years. No, no, I'm saying. But
Never.
At least a month or so, you know.
Well, the unwritten rule that seems to be going on because of social media sped everything up. Because that used to be it, actually. Michael's right. You used to, like, people would tell you don't talk about it for a month. But with streaming, on demand, and all that, no one's going to hold their tongue. It's like, so what they did is that they implemented the TV show rule onto the streaming rule, which has always been a week. Let everyone have a week. And this is only since DVR. There was never, I do want to point this out, you had to watch TV, kids, believe it or not, live. If you didn't watch it live, you didn't see it ever again. Until VCRs, and then VCRs, you had to record it. And there are actually episodes, even in Frasier, they talked about him trying to avoid everyone talking about it because there was no decorum. There was no, like, you saw it, you got to talk about it. And then we shifted where we did get DVRs and a week seemed to be padded. But it seems like people are pushing back against the week. I had someone tell me, oh, you don't understand. The producers and all that are talking about it. They are talking about it, but in threads that are deliberately trying not to spoil shit.
Right.
They don't put the title, they don't, and I was like, you know, it's still you can take something away from someone. I say that realistically, you have to see it in 72 hours. It just as a person, my advice to you is 72 hours, because after 72 hours, there's going to be someone. There's going to be someone who just runs in and says the thing. And Then you have the people who do the disinformation stuff, which I think's kind of funny. I don't get mad at them, but I could see it being also the problem when you do that is that you're also encouraging someone to now think that you did spoil it for them.
Right.
And they might just start reading about it and then find the real spoiler. So
right.
I won't
that's
do
true.
that. I won't do that. I don't do the red herring. You know, I didn't like being catfish when I was younger. Too many guys showed up at the mall and said they were girls. No, never again.
Oh, well, you know, I'm part of on Facebook, the Stand group about the TV show. And what they did was interesting was they shut it down where you couldn't comment on it for, I think, about 24 hours. I would have been a little bit longer, but they shut it down for about 24 hours. So everybody would have a chance to watch it and not have spoilers, which I thought was pretty neat for them to do.
Yeah. And I mean, that's a group where you kind of have to know. I mean, if you're going into that, you have to know there's spoilers. So you should.
Oh, yeah.
I'll tell you this, though. This year I was reading a book and, you know, I know it was a little older, but everyone kept talking about it and spoiling it for parts of me, you know. Like, I just wanted to read the Bible and not have it ruined every Sunday. But sure, every Sunday, people are out there ruining the book for me.
Well, and with that, but see, whenever I watch this, though, I will also let friends of mine know. Like my friend Tommy Florimonte, who works as an inker, I messaged him right away. I said, look, if you haven't seen it, stay away from the internet. Heck, stay away from a computer.
Yeah,
I said, because I know it would spoil it for him. He's a huge Star Wars fan. I say, no, I haven't seen it. I'm going to try to stay away. I see stuff about it already, but I can't tell if it's good or bad. I said, it's good. Stay away. That's it.
And I've had a couple of friends who are really pissed. Like, really. Like, this was one of those. This wasn't a small thing. And I'll give you that. That's all I'll say. This was not a small moment. This is a once-in-a-lifetime moment. I will say that and leave it at that. Like, you don't get this one back. Like, this is not a small one. So, a true Star Wars fan would love the surprise. Don't spoil it. Let people enjoy it for themselves. Absolutely. Do it, Meredith! I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it again. Make sure if you watch it all the way to the end to catch the egg at the end. Yes.
Yep.
So, okay. So now here's the other thing. If you watch it once, can you watch it again and get that still warm, fuzzy feeling for whatever it is that you guys have seen?
Well, I did watch it twice already because
okay.
I had to watch it before Jax because I knew I was doing the news that day. There was no shot in hell. I barely made it taking him to school. And the way I did that is I didn't look at my damn phone. I woke up in the morning. I was like, don't you dare. You're going to have it ruined.
Right?
3 a.m. Someone has already ruined it on the internet. Because they were building, and you knew they were building something big. And you knew something was coming. And I mean, the way they left it last year, like, you knew something was going to, like, this was going to be good.
Right.
And because they're also launching all these different shows out of it. So, like, you have all these speculations. I watched it the second time. I got to see Jax see it for the first time.
Yeah, that was.
I took pictures and showed his reaction. He was like, had a tablet here. And he's like, I have to show his mouth's just open.
Yeah.
He was, and I saw being a kid through his eyes, and I had that moment with him where he will now be a Star Wars fan the rest of his life. And I'm actually now debating going to the original movies now that we've gotten The Mandalorian under our belt. I think for the next year, because we have a lot of time together now.
Yeah.
Until the next one, I'm going to start showing him the Star Wars and all that. And, you know, I think second time was just as good, man. I'll watch the third or fourth. Like, it's like a movie.
Well, okay, so breaking news. My husband just came over with the laptop, and he said, it's only $6.99 for Disney Plus. And I gave him the thumbs up.
Yay!
Yeah. Because some of the stuff that's coming out there is really good. I think when they start releasing that stuff, it's really it's going to be good. WandaVision.
Disney got me.
Loki.
Got me. Damn it.
The what ifs? Guess what?
Oh, yeah, the what ifs. Yeah, absolutely.
Ed Boseman did a large amount of what if stories. So we will have new Marvel content from him.
Cool.
That just broke last night, actually. So I did the weekend news today, and that came up on Saturday's news. Trish says, I follow you, Rob, because Mike likes what you do, and I like your personality. That's why I listen. Thank you. The one thing you can't say is I have a cardboard personality. That is definitely not something anyone's ever accused me of. All right. Oh, yeah, that was when I was trying to figure out his name. Trish, do you guys see? Oh, yeah, we fixed that. I like the term pimping them out. You know, you like it until you're the one getting pimped.
Hey, ask her in a few months.
Where's my money, bitch?
Guy with the fetish book just got creamed. So many jokes there. Right? Right? So many. It's Sunday morning, though. And you know, it's the day after I did my walk of shame. No, you know what? The one thing that 2020 got rid of was the walk of shame. No, everyone misses a walk of shame. You got a couple sluts sitting around. Don't you remember we used to come home and like try to hide that you're coming home? Just 1 month is going to rate in our 1 month is going to rate in our friend circle. And I'm late. Good morning, CNW. You're not late. You're just early for the next show. True Star Wars fans was like, sigh, new characters. I don't know what that was. I guess we were talking about other things. I will say that this was the first time that Star Wars actually felt like Star Wars in a very long time. And yes, I'm dating myself. I remember my family, the first time I experienced a bootleg, and I'm totally against bootlegs now, but this is how it went because we lived in New York. My family had gotten the Star Wars bootleg, and I would literally watch it. And it was my first experience with the guy with the shaky camera in the movie theater. But that's how I watched one of the Star Wars films. We were one of the first families to have a VCR. And it wasn't because we had money. That is not the case, I assure you. It was a passed down because my uncles wanted to get a different one. And I guess if they, like, my family was very financially aware. My Ukrainian family that came over, because my mother was from the Ukraine. So they didn't just buy new things. Like, you go to their house and they have television sets from like 10 years ago all around. They only have that after the 1960s tube died in 2010. 2010, never got a new one.
And you're never going to get that again.
Like, they would not replace something until it broke and could not be used anymore. My grandfather could fix anything with his hands. He was even good with electrics and stuff. He was one of those grandfathers who had the basement set up. Like, it was a damn workshop. Like, you could go down there and fix anything. Like, you would tell him, "Oh, I need a new bike. It's broken." Like, bring your bike over. Like, damn. I'm too big for my bike. We can make it work. Like, he'll.
No matter what you say, they had an answer for it. Huh?
I had an answer for it. Yeah. So, but yeah, that was when I first experienced Star Wars, and I dressed up. See, I'm a little older. Meredith might not remember this because she's young. I had those plastic outfits for Halloween. That's what we used to dress up in, plastic fucking bags with drawings on the outside. Yeah. It was Halloween. Like, all you cosplayers, all you cosplayers like have this fantastic stuff. I was in trash bags with coloring on it. And it wasn't. Oh yeah. It was heavy plastic too. Like, trash bags would have been nice. I've worn trash bags for work when you're doing like cleaning something. No, this stuff was like, and it was flammable. That's right, kid. It was flammable. Yeah. Let me see that pumpkin. The fumes would ignite, kids. That's where we grew up. That's why when we look down at you millennials and we give you so much shit, it's not on purpose. We're like, God, why would you go inside to get it? The air conditioning's on. Just drink out of the garden hose. It's right there.
Yeah. Drink out of a garden hose. Ate the Elmer's paste.
Well, that's Meredith. Once again, that was just you.
Was it really? Was it really?
I did not.
Come on.
Things. I was not a fan. I didn't try.
I know there are people who are out there who've had it, and I miss that minty taste. Okay.
That's kind of special glue. Huh?
Play-Doh, I think everyone eats Play-Doh, and I think the reason they do it is that your parents go ahead, eat it. It's not bad for you. Oh shit! It's like candy.
Well, it says Play-Doh. You make bread out of dough. I mean, come on.
And it does not taste great. It's hard to chew, kids.
A little salty.
Yeah, a little. That's what she said.
And how about those? So we grew up with the advent of the the smelly markers. Remember? So
Oh,
the
yeah.
purple the purple smelled like grape, and of course, you know, you'd go home and your parents were like, "Were you eating the markers again?" And you'd be all purple and shit, and you're like, "No."
I didn't do that, but I'll admit to one bad habit. So this might explain a lot. I know people are gonna be like, now it makes sense. Number two lead pencils. I used to chew on them. No one had stopped me because that was like apparently a thing. Some other kids did too. We would just sit there and chew on fucking pencils. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Looking back on it, I'm like, that is so gross. What was wrong with me? There I am, like Bugs Bunny, lead. While we sat in our asbestos classrooms, like I'm telling you, kids, like I saw my grade school tented up, and they were like, "We're gonna have to cancel some classes for a couple days. We found asbestos," and I'm like, "Wait, I went there." Like I drank out of their garden hose.
Yeah. I always like pen cap me, so
yeah, right. Trish says, yes, I watched it. I can watch it 50 times, and 50 times tears were rolling down my face. Oh my God, there are moments. Yeah, and even Pop said, he over at Comic Talk said, I had to watch it last night before it got spoiled. It's so true. Like, how shitty of a society are we in where we can't enjoy something on our own time? We have got the technology to finally not have to rush. I actually scheduled time in my schedule yesterday to be bored. I had not been bored.
I saw that, and I was going to yell at you.
Why?
Because boredom should be a bad thing.
No, for your mind, there's actually something that says that every so often you have to unconnect. You disconnect all your things. You're supposed to do it once a month, actually.
Yeah, but I wouldn't call that boredom.
You call it taking it easy. I call it boredom. Because like my mind is, I'm like, what do I do now? Like, here we are. Should I read a book? I don't know. I don't want to read a book.
Sleep is good.
And then I got a migraine from not doing anything. I was like, oh God, I have a migraine. This is stressing me out. Not doing nothing, stressing me out.
True, I do the same thing. If I say I'm not doing anything and I want to spend the day on the couch or binge watch something or binge read something, and because I refuse to move, I'm like, nope, I don't even want to go to the bathroom. It's one of those things, and your body doesn't move, and I get the headaches too. I think that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, right. Like I get a headache from not doing anything. So then I took Jackson. We went for a walk. I found something for my sister for Christmas. It's small because I'm poor, but at least she'll get something. It's always nice to unwrap something, even for the holidays, no matter how poor you are. Send money. But
I am completely opposed to being bored.
Yeah, I'm with ADHD. It's the worst thing in the world. Like I hate it. Like when I was a teenager and I was bored, I wish I could go back in time. What the fuck is wrong with you? Do something, you little crybaby bitch. Like, all the time I wasted. Like I could have been studying things. No, I wanted to be cool and drink.
Right.
I don't mind the getting late part. I'd be like, yeah, buddy, yeah, you go get it.
And that rolls right back into the walk of shame thing. See how this works.
I danced with pride. I was like,
But the headaches could be from not using your brain because you've used it so much. Kind of like a machine. It's like a car. If you leave it sitting for a while, it has problems starting back up. So maybe that's what the problem is.
You're supposed to take these times off. And then I did outside. I put up Christmas lights. I worked with Jax, and I did the dad thing. Were you annoyed by your kid when they're too close to you? What are you doing? Stop talking. That's not what that. What are you? And then I realized, because there's this poem about a dad. It's a really good poem, and you guys should look it up. It's I don't know the name of it, but it's famous. Look for Reader's Digest poem about a father, and it talks about how we're always looked down as our kids as adults, and we forget that they don't know what we know. They've never experienced what we know. So the thing, they're out there. He's just wanting to be involved. So I started involving him. I took that moment and realized he wanted to learn, and when I work, I get closed off, and I think Meredith has seen this. Like when I'm busy doing something in the background, I don't say anything for a while when we're having meetings and stuff because I'm figuring things out. So I get that way, and then he's just out there just, what am I supposed to do? Dad keeps telling me not to touch anything. So I made him involved, and I kept asking him questions, and it became a nice moment. We have to kind of remember that sometimes to to breathe. And that's why I call it the scheduling to be bored. It's really just not scheduling anything. It is literally a day where I turned off my computer and would not allow myself to turn it on. Every time I found myself on the phone again, it was knocking it out of my hand. I would check to make sure, because I don't want anyone to feel like I'm not answering messages. I don't want anyone to feel I'm ignoring them. So I took care of those things. But anything that had to do with, like, I don't have to do this today didn't get done yesterday. I didn't start new work. And yet by the end of the day, I sent Meredith something. I came up with a whole new comic strip.
Mm-hmm.
So I was like, this could be interesting. And it's going to be a satirical kind of comic. And I'm going to use shapes. And I'm going to call it a different angle. And it's all going to be shapes, talking about things like, kind of dealing with stuff, sometimes heavy, sometimes lighthearted stuff. And it's going to be for Terraform Continuum, Terraform's comic launch next year. So you do.
And I actually wanted you to talk about that a little bit because the comic strips part is brand new.
Yeah, brand new. You know what? We started in comic strips. No one can argue that. Comic books come from comic strips. Actually, from a political commentary is where we get our start. And I want to go back to at least showcasing that talent and that ability. Plus, it opens up for a lot of artists. There are artists out there who listen, I get paid $200 a page. I don't know if I can really stop, do this work where I'm not getting paid, even if I'm working with someone new. But if I tell them, hey, you want to do a comic strip? A couple of them have been like, tell me more. Because this is something that they can do so quickly. They can be involved in something. Right. And again, Terraform Continuum is about building a library that everyone will be able to pull from eventually. Once we get to 100 issues, imagine being that comic book creator who shows up and does, the 100th issue, puts a story in there, and at the end of it, you can order from 100 back issues to have at your table. This means creators can show up at their tables and never have just one book. They have things to talk to people and circulate with people and go, also the Terraform Continue, it's really about creating something that's a library of creation. So when someone comes up to you at your table, you don't have to go, I don't have that. That's the one thing. Yeah. And I told everyone the Advocator this, and a couple people like Chuck was amazed by how I sold the Advocator. It's about finding the people who aren't naturally in your market. I create books about fetish monsters and more. Every day more and more catalysts are coming out next year. That's a whole political comic, which it's going to walk like comics classically did. Talk about politics without talking about politics directly. Show the results of things without bashing any certain political camp or political ideology. Doing things in the book to show what I think should be done along with the creator of the book, as opposed to preaching. So that's how comics used to be made. But before then, I didn't have anything close to that. But I had the Fourth Monkey, which was, and every so often I've sold 3 copies of it, and it's sad. It's a beautiful book. But those 3 times was for 3 people who love that kind of book. So I made a sale where I'd have never made a sale. The Advocator comes along. You like Westerns? I've got this story in this one. Do you like space operas? Well, I've got the Binary Star. You like monkeys? I even have a story about a monkey. I can sell a book, and I say it all the time now. Someone comes up to my table and they don't buy something, 2 things happen. I fucked up, or they're not there for comics. And I prove that. Well, people see me at shows, they're like, he constantly is selling. But you have to be in a buyer's market. You do. There are some shows where there just aren't. Meredith was one of those shows that was kind of a mix because it was a toy comic thing. Yeah. I sold to people who didn't expect. And I was with Travis at the time, who's one of the creators of Advocator with me. I sold more of his books by pitching the Advocator because we share a table. Whenever I share a table, I always kind of let the person with me take the sale if it's a mutual book. I sold more of his book in conjunction with it because I opened those doors. And, even at the end of the day, he's like, I never took the Advocator serious until I just saw what you did all day. It sucks to be me because I don't get the sales, but I love the fact that my work's getting out there because I had work in every one of those issues. So I also know that I translate to people, and it's amazing to have that. So that's what this is supposed to be, Terraform Continuum. It is supposed to showcase all these amazing creators. We talked about having theme books down the road. I think that we more agreed on we might have age groups. We might do an all ages.
Yeah, I think that's better.
Or an adult property of it. where someone can really go out. But for the most part, it's going to be, it's going to be meant for the general comic book audience. Means not for kids. Usually when we have something for kids, it's geared towards kids at this point. I'd like to see that change. Terraform will be putting ratings on our books. That is one thing you will see, and we're trying to figure it out. I never heard back from the people in charge of the rating system, which I have to put that on my to-do list because I need to know what we're going to be having. But the last I heard, we're going to do like a PG, a G, a PG. I think we were around a 16, which is like young reader, teen type stuff. And then the general would be an R. So that the weird thing about comics is that right now, general is R. Mm-hmm. If you want to sell to the general comic book audience, it's an R rating. If you really think about it, that's where we are.
Or a PG-13.
Or PG-13. Yeah, right between PG-13 and R. It's like one thing. That's the general thing. But we will be doing adult properties, and when we do that, we might not. I think we even talked about possibly not kickstarting it under the same exact name and giving it a sub name to be part of it. While it still be part of the library, it might not be called Terraform Continuum necessarily on the cover. It'll be part of the line, but we'll give it a different name. Meredith knows the name I'm talking about, and it would be that name with Continuum. Right. So even with the kids one, we'll have an actual different name than Terraformed. It'll be something else, Continuum. And it gives people that, okay, this is something different. And we want that. So, I mean, it's just amazing. It's always what every creator talks about when you're in a group. Hey, it'd be great if we just came together and made comics. Yeah. And just did that. And that's what this library is. Everyone gets to walk away with something. Terraform gets to walk away with print rights indefinitely. So it doesn't matter if Marvel or DC picks up your book. They'll have to come to Terraform and say, hey, we want you to stop printing that. And, we'll work something out. We'll try to make it so we're not going to try to kill anyone's deal over it. But until we get approached by it, you're damn right we're going to still print it. Probably print it the minute we know you sign a DC contract. Oh, shit, that guy did these. Print 1,000 of those books. Ordering right now.
Well, I think that's a good thing to not do themes, because that was one thing about the Advocator. You could flip it, have one story here, it's one con, and now, okay, well, I like that story. Well, you kind of just bleed into the next one, and that helps you open you up as far as marketing is concerned, especially. How many times have you heard somebody say, well, I don't know how to market this? Well, you put this in there. Now it's reaching an audience that was interested in one thing, and now you might have just opened the doors open for them for something completely new. So,
and from my perspective, what I'm looking at is the first 8 pages of my book is going to be going into Continuum. Once that's delivered, I can say, hey, I've got something delivered. I can kind of hang on those coattails a little bit, because when it comes time to launching that as a solo issue, a standalone or whatever the case might be, or I take the next 8 pages and put it into the next Continuum, and I wait until that story is done in 3 to 4 books, possibly, and then print it off. At least by then, when it gives me time, first of all, to get the art done, to make sure that it's all edited, and then put together my own Kickstarter. And then by then I would have 4, maybe 5 books that I could put on a table when I go to my first con as a vendor or as a creator.
Right.
So I don't see any losses there.
And then you got people out there who are buying the books and selling them on their table that are advertising themselves, but at the same time advertising you. So it's you're helping them while you're also helping yourself. So I think it's a great idea. So
it's using the power of again, advocacy, but inclusive, because you have some unknowns who might be matched up with people who are more well-known in the industry. And by having your name on a book with those people helps.
Yep. Absolutely,
How can it not? Unless they have a real shed attitude, in which case they wouldn't be in Continuum anyway. Because we are those people.
Well, in fairness, we don't know who's going to wind up in the Continuum. I will say that, not to disagree with Meredith, but ultimately someone might be in a way that we don't know.
Yeah.
Just being honest, being full frontal with it. we don't know what kind of prick we're going to see. So
Right.
that joke, see that full frontal prick we're going to see? But it's true. You don't know who you work with today that might be, because like, look, a lot of people have seen all the sides of me, and I don't hide who I am. I'm very open, and actually, Rob even says that. Love your tell it. Love that you're telling it how it is. Personally, bro. See, and Rob knows, like, that's who I am. You know, I'm a person who can be spoken with and all that, but you see that because you watch my journey. I've grown up. I've become that in front of people's eyes. A lot of people hide that because they have been told, fake it till you make it. Don't show who you are. Be the person everyone wants you to be.
Well, on the flip side of that, though, sorry to interrupt, Michael, but on the flip side of that is when you're coming out of the gate and we don't know who you are, and then you show who you are, it's like, all right, maybe put them on the watch list. But that doesn't mean you have to stay there. There is redemption, there is forgiveness and things like that. And people, thank goodness I didn't grow up in the internet age. There's a lot of stuff that I did when I was younger that I wouldn't want known. I share those stories now because I've outgrown it. And anybody who holds that against me for what I did when I was, 13.
Yeah.
I'm not the one with the problem. They are at that point.
The cancel society has to end. You can only, here's the rule. If you want to cancel someone, they had to have done something within 30 days. You missed the window. I'm sorry. The cancel bureau is not going to allow you to cancel anyone anymore. Because you know what? After 30 days, you should have grown. This year, I've said repeatedly, that feels like 10 years for me. If I were to talk to me at the beginning of the year, not give away anything, you would see two different people, I think, in a lot of ways, in the way that they handled themselves and acted. But it'd still be the same person, same spark. It's this year changed me in a lot of ways. And some of it was what we were talking about earlier, trying to get someone to take the reins of what I was doing because I wanted to go to the next level. And somewhere in the middle of that, I fell in love with this new concept of CNW. I fell in love with the way we could format it because I was, honestly, it comes from being lazy. Always ask lazy people how to do things because they'll find a faster way to do it. And that's what the CNW was. It was this way of how can I still do the same amount of advocating with a lot less work because of all the stuff I have going on. And I played with some technology, which had changed over the last year, which made it so I could import Twitter and Facebook things with very little, like copy paste. That is what I'm doing. And we have this whole new concept, and it's growing. And I even said it recently. I don't share the videos in groups anymore. I'm letting it organically grow because, like Meredith said, sometimes you don't get organic growth when you force something. But when you don't force it, this magic happens where things grow out of it and it gets stronger by default. Because then when Facebook changes its rules next month, it doesn't matter. I still have that organic base. Yeah. And we have to look at things like that. So I absolutely agree with creating chaos when she says the things were hot as hell. We're talking about the costumes, the Halloween costumes from before. Absolutely. And I was up in New York, and it was because when I was a kid, we actually had fall in October. I know the kids nowadays have summer still in October. When I was growing up, we actually had fall. There were leaves everywhere, and it was still hot as hell. You were sweating. You were like, oh my God, I'm going to die. By the time you got home, you were like, you got pneumonia because you sweated and the cold air came at the back of your neck and gave you the cold that wound up being pneumonia. And, I remember, and remember when we grew up, our parents were smoking right in our face. What are you doing, kid? It's fine. Surgeon General says it might be bad. Not really. You'll be fine. Be a man, drink a beer. I grew up drinking at every holiday, not because I wanted to. I was forced to drink. Come here. What? Here, try this. No, I don't want to.
Oh my God. My father would bring home the little Bud Nips.
Oh, no.
The little cans. Oh, yeah.
Pulled out the bottle right on the table.
Well, we had that. I was making like Harvey Wallbangers when I was 8.
No. I grew up with Ukrainians. You got vodka or scotch. That's it. Brandy, my sister got. I got vodka or scotch. Nothing. They would mix it with ginger ale for their asses. Not me. I got the straight shit. And everyone wonders why I became an alcoholic as a teenager. There's no correlation there at all, I'm sure. You know, the worst thing was when I drank my grandfather into the table when I was like 18. He was like, "Oh, what's wrong with you?" Because I was fine. Like, I wasn't even drunk. I'm like, "You guys done? I'm killing half a bottle." My liver to this date doesn't talk to me. He still sends messages through the kidney. You tell Rob, fuck him, just in case he didn't know. Wait till he gets the next flu. I'm going to make it hurt. Oh, man, they were hot as hell. Rob says that my mom would hand sew costumes. My mom tried. They like, she was good at making the garbage bin costume, even when it was supposed to be a pumpkin. Creating chaos is because Meredith is completely opposed to being bored. She is. Like, every time I turn around, she's there like, I got to cut things out. Hold on, I got to go do a video.
Yeah.
What was I saying? Something about cutting things out, Meredith. Yeah, just too many things going on at once. Oh, wait, someone just offered me to be on a show. I'll be right back.
Yeah. I don't think she sleeps, huh?
I do. You know what? It's getting a lot easier when I'm now that I'm older. I seem to do cat naps. It's like broken sleep. I don't know.
No, yeah, it was funny. Like this year, the one thing I learned to do was start to sleep more, and it's weird because like I have trouble with the back and all that. But now, like 8 hours a day, I actually sleep, semi-sleep. Like it's broken up to the back, but I'm like, I've never done this in life, and I feel broken. I feel like there's something wrong with me, and then I'm like, oh, yeah, I'm old. Like,
I wouldn't know what to do with 8 hours sleep anymore.
I only recently started doing it. That's mostly because of Jackson. It's not every day. It really is not an everyday thing, but every so often I sleep 8 hours. Because when I was younger, back when I was Michael's age, I worked 16 hours a day. I'd work out at the gym, and I'd get 3 hours of sleep a day.
Wait. How old are you?
42.
42? I'm 40.
Yeah, like I said, back when I was your age.
Oh, come on.
I'm 49. Well, I will be 49.
But seriously, like in my 30s and before that, I never slept. I slept 2 or 3 hours a day. I'm sure the people who saw me show up to work first thing knew that as I'm chugging a 12-pack of soda. I actually got high blood pressure, high blood pressure. There we go. That's the right term. Because I switched off of soda to go to, of all things, tea. I got the iced tea, and I was drinking it, and I was like, look, I'm being healthy. I'm drinking it by the jug. Turns out there's so much more sodium in iced tea. So I was drinking so much sodium that the doctor was like, he's like, you stop drinking soda? I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to be healthier. He's like, what are you drinking to be healthier? I'm like, tea. He's like, so just regular boiled tea? I'm like, no, iced tea. He's like, who makes the iced tea? And I'm like, 4C. So like, pulls out his phone and he's there like, you see how much sodium is in that?
Golly.
He's like, how much of this do you drink? I'm like, 2 of them. I'm assuming you don't mean 2 cups. No, 2 whole jugs. You're eating a literal thing of salt. Like, what of salt a day? Do you know how dangerous that is? I was like, well.
Yeah, you might as well just go to the pet store and get one of those salt licks.
I was like,
yeah, right.
I'll tell you what, doctor, I'm getting real stressed right now as I'm being running for something.
Well, it's the same thing like apple juice. Somebody's talking about, I'll drink apple juice now instead of all the Cokes and everything, so that's healthier. You realize how much sugar, natural sugar, is in apple juice? Look how many apples you actually have to squish to make apple juice. Same thing with oranges.
Yeah, they tell you if you have a kid, cut it down by 1/3. 1/3 apple juice, 2/3 water. And they want you to drink that stuff. And when I was a kid, same thing. Mutts.
Yep. The Welch's. The Welch is great. So good.
We had fucking High C in the can. We used to get a can of High C. You'd pop it open with this weird thing that you kids don't even know about. It looked like a bottle opener, but it wasn't really, because this thing actually made holes in the can, bigger holes. It was like a bigger bottle opener. You kids would be like, what? You did that to cans? Yeah. And we used to
before it came with pool tabs.
Like that was it. We'd be going around Ecto 1 cooler.
Oh, God.
Drinking all day.
Oh, Ecto 1.
Oh, my God.
And Rob said, you need to spend time offline. And you know what? Sometimes I do think about a time when we didn't have anything. I remember a beeper. I remember being pissed at a beeper because people could fucking find me now.
Yeah.
I remember a time where I couldn't be found, you know, and now suddenly there's beepers. These girls are texting me. This job wants me to pick up now. Now it's like, they'll fucking find your phone.
Yeah.
Before they could just tell you they were looking for you. Now they're looking at satellite footage.
Right.
Thanks to the Russian hack this week, they're actually able to see everything.
Golly.
I'm just saying, you've let us all down. There are a lot of agencies that have been watching me for a lot of years should have been watching the Russians instead. But you know, it's a weird thing. Let's see what happened to that Star Wars fan comic. Did it get slammed? No, it suddenly quietly went away when it didn't fund, and it was suddenly canceled after it didn't fund. So read between the lines. I did hear a rumor. I stress this was a rumor, but I was told that they were told by Disney that Kickstarter had to start looking at things a lot more closely for copyright infringement, and now their review process takes 7 days.
Oh.
It went from sometimes instant approval to 7 days. So they are looking at them all. So that was the rumor. I didn't hear it from anyone from Kickstarter. You know, the rumor where it's like, I know this guy who knows this guy who's like sisters, like, you know, part of Kickstarter, like tech team. I'm really the street team. But, you know, maybe. I mean, we did see it change. So Meredith is one of the...
This was the Star Wars comic that somebody decided to try to produce without any permission or anything? Or?
Oh my God, like blatant rip. Like we're just and this is the whole thing they were trying to do. And I love how people read a law and then think they know laws. They're like, look, this is just a fan comic book. You're just going to be paying for the printing of the book. We're not taking any profits. If there are profits, we're going to donate it to something. We'll donate it to something. We won't take any profits from it. But the whole thing, we're going to pay for printing. And then you start going, well, printing, what does that mean? Turned out art was part of that. Lettering, we're going to get paid. Suddenly, everyone's getting paid. So it's not really, it's like the charities. Oh, if you give us $1, we'll make sure to give 20 cents to somebody.
Yeah.
That's right. 20 cents out of the $1 you donated goes to someone in need. Because
I think it was 9.
Yeah, you have to pay for the CEO. You have to pay for the T-shirts. You have to pay for all the ads on television. You know, it's not free to give someone 10 cents. People, we need 90 cents.
Yeah, right.
We need 90 cents, and that's kind of what they were doing, which breaks the law. If you're going to do it, you have to print it and give it out for free. If you really want to make fan stuff, this is the only way to get away with fan. And if you're listening, hear me. The only way to get away with anything fan related when it comes to copyright and it be legal is to give it away for free. Or make it one time so it cannot be reproduced.
Yep.
So a piece of art, like if you drew an entire Star Wars comic, they could try to press you, but they probably wouldn't. Even legally, they'd be like, come on, it's one time. What are they going to do? And then some asshole takes it to the Xerox copy, and then they're like, okay, sue them. Sue them. It's online now. Go for it, Disney. Make them hurt. And if you look up what Disney has done to people that violates their laws, they will end your career. And I don't mean with them. I mean, they've sent people to prison. They have financially bankrupted people. Disney is not a consumer brand to mess with.
No.
The mouse has teeth, and he will chew through your ass.
I don't understand why you would waste your time doing that, honestly. If you're going to have all those resources, why not make your own original book? Even if it's kind of a, I don't know, Buck Rogers ripoff or something like that. But make your own thing.
No one cares about your book. That's the hard truth. At first, no one cares about the book. And what people don't, they're not willing to make people care. And that's the truth. I make people care about what I create. When I first started this, I wanted to write Batman and Superman. When I first started, I wanted to be a comic book writer. Of course, I wanted to write Marvel, DC, X-Men, Wolverine. Those are the things. That's why I got into comics. And somewhere along the way, I realized those doors are closed to me. I just can't walk through them. I have to find a way to open them. So I started off going, well, I'll just make my own comic books, and I'll show them how great I am. and I'll write a novel or two. And I got a couple things where I never felt through with it because I don't like ownership. Ownership's a big problem with me. And yet I wanted to work for Marvel and DC because most people don't realize how much you don't own with that stuff and how much you don't get back. So at a point, I started going to these panels, and you hear this: you have to create indie comics. No, they're more important than Marvel and DC. And you see all these creators out there directly just waiting to talk shit about anyone above them. You know, like you see all these people like talking negatively and talking down the industry to make themselves feel better. And over this year, it's one of the things I learned. You have to be careful because Marvel and DC aren't the bad guys. Turns out in comics, there really aren't any bad guys. It's about you and how you can market things and how you can sell things. And it's about building that base and earning it. Because there was a time no one knew anything about Marvel. Do your history, learn about it. Is it unfair at this point a little bit? Not really. Unfair was in the 70s, 80s, and 90s when there was hardly a way to get a comic book out. It would cost you thousands upon thousands of dollars to even try to attempt it. We have print on demand, Kickstarter, Indiegogo. What are you all crying about?
Yeah, right.
DC, Marvel, you need someone to write? I'm available. But now I fell in love with creating my own character.
Right.
I want to create my own characters, and I love what I do. But for a long time, I felt like I had to choose. And let me tell you, you don't have to choose. You don't have to hate Marvel to like the independent spirit. The independent spirit's always been awesome. Underground comics have been awesome. It's a way to talk about what you want to talk about. Creating your own comic book is an amazing feat that should be attempted by someone who knows what they're doing. And no, I don't think anyone can write a comic book, and I don't think anyone can draw a comic book. But I do think that the energy out there can make people do something that they couldn't normally do, because they're so inspired that they would do one time, they would do something. And then they'd start working with people who can help them. You got to earn it, baby. That's what this industry is. You got to earn it. You got to live it. You got to breathe it. You got to be out there learning more about it than you ever wanted to know. And you got to keep continuing to know that because it makes you better. You know, that's just what the industry is. And I'm so tired of people trying to rip other people down to try to get up. I've never seen anyone take someone out and then them get that space. Rob Liefeld, perfect example of this. Everyone wants to shit on him. And look, I'll make fun of the guy a little bit. Like, he does have a problem with feet. And he loves pouches. And I say that ribbing him, as everyone should, but I respect the hell out of him.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't always agree. I do not always agree with the things that come out of that man's mouth. I don't agree with anyone, all the things that come out of their mouths. You know, that's the reality of life. But I respect the hell out of everything he has ever done. And he is someone I look up to. Same as Stan Lee, same as Kirby, you know, Eisner.
Yeah.
So,
well, if Rob Liefeld was so bad, then it even gives him more credit for how brilliant he is, but how much he's made off of doing this. So,
but also people forget how with comics, sometimes you're under the pressure to get it done.
Right.
You don't expect it to be art. And we're in a weird time. We're now, and I was talking to someone about this recently. Comics from the independent side are trying too hard now to be too perfect with their art that you have people putting out one book a year. And that's dangerous. That's dangerous if you really want to, because you see these, and I've heard the stories where you have these creators get picked up by Marvel and DC and they can't do it. They can't keep up. And then they don't have suddenly a part of the industry because it's different. And you have to understand it's different. When you're independent and you have a year to work on a project, it'll come out beautiful. But in realistic timetables, when you're working for Marvel and DC, you sometimes have 2 or 3 weeks to get a book done.
Oh, yeah.
If not sooner. Even writers are expected to work on 3 or 4 books at a time in a month. Deal with all the problems in between the projects, pivot back and forth. And then people like Scott Snyder are still working on their personal projects on the side. Give credit where credit's due to these guys above us who hang in and do it for a while, you know, like a lot of work. Respect it. Meredith's having a whole conversation without us over there.
She's on another program, isn't she?
No. I was actually talking to I sent my husband a little sticky note, said, added Disney Plus. Do you want to add it to the TV? And he's like, yes. I'm like, no. Do you know how to add it to the TV? Do you know how to add apps, you know, to the smart TV? And he's like, no. He looks so sad.
Well,
you know, and here's the thing. Okay, so if we add this and he starts watching it without me, is that a deal breaker?
Yeah, I mean, divorce. I mean, it was a good run. It was a good run. You know,
We had a good run, honey.
got a good run. Watching without you, no, that's it. I hear the papers. I've had these waiting. Just this was the moment that they were here for. Let me just put in the date. I mean, no, in all honesty, because it's 2 seasons, kidding around aside, you guys should probably agree to a meeting point where you both start watching it together, but both on the side try to catch up a little bit. You know what I mean? That way you guys can get to a point. I'd say about mid-season 2, meet up and then do the last like 6.
Pops says, "Don't tell him the password."
Yeah. Because, I mean, with 2 seasons, that's a lot to sit there, especially with the schedules you guys have.
Yeah.
I know Meredith will just be watching in the middle of a show and she'll be like, oh, you know, I'm here, guys. I'm here.
No, I'm a total binge watcher. So if you don't see me for 2 days, it's because I watch both seasons with no sleep.
I've done that. I've been that. Like this year, I was watching West Wing and I would be waking up at 3 a.m. after my back hurt. And I'd be like, perfect time for another episode. You wake up like it's 5 episodes before, and you're like, okay, where was the last time I remember them talking? Here we go.
Have you ever watched a series that you were going to watch together, and then you're like, you watched it ahead of time, and you're like, no, it's okay. If you want to watch it, let's watch now. And you watch it a second time, and you're sitting there like, oh, I can't tell what's happening.
I had that first with my ex, who was horrible at hiding that she had already watched it, because she would start to tell before the thing happened.
Oh.
And it would be like, you bastards. You know what's going to happen, don't you?
Well, Netflix outs you anyway because it tells you whether or not you've already viewed it.
Oh, so many times. Or Hulu. Like I would go to Hulu. Who watched it? Which one of you scumbags watched it without me?
And Disney Plus does the same thing. So.
All right. I have to stay honest then. Damn it.
But the good thing about the episodes, though, is they're not uniformly like 45 minutes. Some of them are like 30. Some of them are, 25, something like that. So they're not all the time.
The short episodes piss me off. I'm like, why didn't you just put more in?
Well, but you know what? There's that one episode on this last season that was 25 minutes, 30 minutes. And I agree with that because if you just put in padding in there, it slows down the whole thing. I don't really agree with that.
I respect the hell out of that. In all fairness, like as a writer, to not compromise. Yeah. No, this is a 30-minute episode. No, this is what it has to be. Yep. Like Michael said, if I add more, it's not the episode anymore.
Right.
And you get those, like Netflix was like a really good 2-episode show that was put out for like 10 episodes. Yeah. Like you watch Daredevil and you're like, it shouldn't be called Daredevil. It should be called No Dose. Or go to sleep because you half of it is boring as, fuck you. Like, you're like, what is going on here? And then like 10% of the time you're like, ooh, ooh, ooh. Like if comics were written that way, you'd never read a comic again. You'd never read a comic. That was the problem with Netflix.
Some comics are written that way now. So.
That's true. But like when Netflix went to 1.5, the first thing I said is, what? You can't go to 2? Have you seen your Netflix Daredevil show at 2? That Walking Dead's the same thing.
Oh yes, I was going to say that. Yeah.
Oh my God, The Walking Dead. I understand why they're calling it The Walking Dead. You have to be part dead to be watching this show at normal speeds. I watch it while doing other work, and it still annoys me how slow it's going.
If they knock off 6 episodes every year on that show, it'd be so much better.
Yep,
it'd be so much better. 10 episodes, we could get what we need out of it, and then we'd still want more.
All you have to do is have the people run in, like cut out everything before the zombies are here. That's it. Here we go. Like you didn't say anything. You guys walked. You walked and you talked about everything I just saw for a half an hour. This is why I'm divorced. I didn't want to hear about everything before that just happened and recap. I don't like that. I don't like the football when they're talking about their personal lives. Hey, Jim. Do you remember when there goes the whole play and they're not talking about the play and they're like, yeah, I remember when I was a kid, I used to tip over goats. And you're like, what are you talking about? Stop it.
This is like this move to make dialogue sound more realistic. And the thing about it is, there's a realistic and there's a tone to it, but you don't put in the and the and the ho and the, So if you listen to people's conversations, they can be kind of boring. Honestly,
I walk away. Like I'm so many times I walk away from conversations. I'm like, I'm sorry, I thought you were done because my attention was. Like I tell people all the time, Meredith knows there are a couple of people who I'm like, get to the point, get to the point, get to the point, get to the point, get to the fucking point.
Oh, my favorite is when I get messages or just people going, "Hey,"
I don't answer those anymore.
and I'm like, "Yeah."
Nope.
How are you? I'm like, is there a point behind this?
I don't mind the how. Can I ask you a question? I don't mind the hey, how are you doing? Because then they're, even though I know they want something, they're being nice. But when someone just goes, hey, unless they're a really close friend
Right.
gets away with that because you know they're like family.
yeah, but you know,
Yeah, because then it's like, hey, what's up? What you doing? What's cracking? You know, what's going on?
That's different. But you know, again, if it's and you're sitting there and you're waiting for a response or a continuation, I'm sitting there going, I don't have time to pull this from you like taffy. You know,
Right.
just tell me what the hell you want. You know.
My favorite thing is how fucking dumb people sometimes are. Like people will like be nasty to you. They'll like shit on you, and then they'll be like, "Oh, well, you're still gonna cover me, right?" I'm sorry. What? Who the fuck? Like what?
Hold on a second. Let me rip this welcome mat off of my head.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've had people message me, hey, I sent you an email a week ago. This was during my mother's death. I sent you an email a week ago and I haven't heard from you. And I was like, I'm sorry, who are you? Was my answer. That was my literal answer. Who are you? And they're like, well, what's that supposed to mean? I was like, well, I'm dealing with my mother's funeral right now. You know, if you knew who I was, you would have seen it all over my page that I said I was taking this week away from doing these things. And I'd only be responding to emergency emails. So you don't know who I am, do you? And you'd think that was the moment where they're like, well, that's when he knew he fucked up. No.
No, double down.
Nope.
Let's double down on stupid.
This person was like, well, someone told me that you could help me, but I guess you're just not in the mood to help people. And
Really?
I was like, oh, honey, don't worry. I'm going to make sure to remember you. You're going to be someone I never forget in my entire life. Oh. And then I, Meredith actually knows these things happen. I got a message an hour later. What did you do, Rob? And it's my friend who knows I'm going through something. He's like, did you just randomly attack some dude who asked you for help? And it's like, because I know the person and I sent them to you. And I literally sent my friend the screenshots and he's like, I'll take care of it. That was what he said. I will take care of this. I'm sorry. He will never bother you or me again. Was what I was told because that's always what it is. When I spank someone, they run away. Rob's mean. Rob, I didn't do anything. No. I was like, what time is it, Rob? And he talked about my mom. Like that's how they run across to people. And then when I get in the room, with people. Like I had something where someone was like, oh, Rob's really mean. He did this, and that. And then, I get in the room and I'm like, yeah, but he did this. And he's like, I didn't know he did that shit. That's fucked up. I'd rip him up too. And that's how people are. Like and I hate to say it, but that's like how millennials really are nowadays. They say something. And I mean, like calling someone Karen and Boomer, like you don't expect someone to hand you your ass for those things. Like these are the same people who've been beating you on social media. I want you to understand a person who doesn't understand a phone actually is cleverer than you on social media 90% of the time. Like you guys have meltdowns. I literally see it where like someone will be like, okay, you can call me a boomer. At least I know shit. You couldn't even figure your way out of a phone booth. And they're like, oh, what's a phone booth? And you're like, oh, God. Oh, God. Oh, you fell right into it. That's what you get.
You're just making up words, man. Phone booth. I could do that too.
Yeah. For those wondering why the Gen Xers aren't getting involved in the boomer or millennials, we're just sitting back going, you fuckers. I'm a shit, but you're lovely. Keep going.
Gen X had to deal with boomers all their life.
We hate everybody. We're just like, or we just don't. It's not hate. It's like we don't have the time of day, because we're just too busy doing our own stuff. Oh, you got a problem with that? Yeah, here's some Elmer's paste. Taste that first.
Like you see, like Gen Xers are looking right now at like millennials, like, oh, you're just gonna smoke that because it's legal. Well, guess what? Not fun because it's fucking legal. I actually fucking run for police to be able to smoke that shit. And there you are, just, oh look, I'm cool. Fuck you. I earned my pot. I earned it.
It's true. You actually find out that smoking marijuana has actually gone down since they legalized it.
For Gen Xers, it has. They're like,
it's like. You sound like you worked for it. That's what the deal is. You worked for that.
I was an alcoholic until I was 21, walked into a bar and was like, this is too easy.
I know. It's not fun anymore. Jeez.
I haven't drank since my 20s. True story. I think I've had one shot during the death of my grandfather out of respect for him. I don't even miss it. I miss cigarettes. If I miss anything, that's something I miss. Oh,
God, yes.
Cigarettes own me. They as an entity. If I ever hear I'm gonna have cancer, you'll know because I'll be smoking in my house. You're like, oh shit, I've got the cancer. Like I see him like this, smoking. He got the cancer. It's over. He knows it's over. Just 2 at a time. Are you wonderful people today? And everyone will be like, Rob's calmer.
Yeah, that's weird. You can not miss anything else, but I do kind of miss smoking, honestly. I don't even think that's an addict thing. I think it's just something I was able to do with my hands. I don't know.
All right, let's do some comments. Meredith is one of my mentors. I pay attention to her podcasting and promotional advice, and everyone really should. She calls herself a noob for comics and comics only. I see an autonomy comic coming, Revenge of the Liver. My fingers are still asleep. I don't know where.
No, I think he meant to say anatomy.
Oh, I was going to say, I don't know where they've been stuck, but like that's a story probably. This is breaking news. He has a baby face. If he shaves, he looks really deep.
Aw. My husband's the same way. If he shaves off his goatee, he looks like he's 12.
I'll tell you, if I shave off all this right now, I can go to court and get away with anything.
I don't think I would recognize you.
I don't think so.
People like, except
for maybe the eyes. That's it.
I don't have a chin, so like this looks like there's a chin, but it goes right here, like there's barely a chin. It looks like we've got like the chin of all chins. Like I got Jay Leno's chin under there. Nope. When I shave it, I look like I'm like a teenager. Like people are like, son, you can't buy alcohol here. And I was buying it when I was 16 with a goatee, and they're like, son, you got to go home, get your daddy. For you, because I'm in the South now, so they all expect it. You got to get your dad to come in and buy the keg for you, okay?
I remember being 4, and we were stationed in Korea, and my father would give me, I think, a $10 bill. And he says, "Go get me a 6-pack, a pack of smokes, and you can buy candy with the change." And I sure as hell did. I'd be walking down the street with my red wagon, and I'd get a 6-pack, a pack of smokes, and I was 4.
I'm with Meredith. We were sent to the store to get cigarettes, not beer, because beer was the thing in my house. We weren't allowed to drink outside of the family gatherings, but like I have cigarettes all the time. Like, we go to the store and like, give me some smokes. My mom be here, pack these for me. You got a light kid pulling out the lighter for her. I'm telling you, we were not like there was no child protective services. They said there were. Basically, it was just a bunch of people being like, I ain't getting involved in that shit. No.
That's why some of the things our kids are growing up with now is just like, yeah, you don't have life experience, dude. No.
I had a kid say, I'm gonna call the cops on you. And I'm like, yeah, but you should look up how often the cops don't find the body of the kid. That kid did not find it no more. That was the end of that kid, because I think that kid actually Googled it and was like, oh, shit. I thought the cops were good at things. They're not. They are really good at things.
When you ever see all those other serial killers, they always do something stupid, and that's how the cops find them. So it's kind of...
They don't do something stupid. They're just bored.
Oh, yeah, right.
Come on. It's like the hot girl at the end of the night who's been trying to flirt with a dude. Now it's starting to take off her clothes. This bitch, do you want this? That's what the serial killers are doing. They're literally like sending them private messages with their phone number. Oops, is this going to make it easier for you to find?
Golly, I've been waiting for like 10 years now.
You know, like they don't ever talk about it, but it really happens. Serial killers walk into the police precinct and they don't get arrested because it's so embarrassing for them. It's like, it was me. It was fucking me. You jerks. Can't figure anything out. And they're like, we can't arrest you. No, well, we're not explaining this to the press. Just go. It's easier when you're just killing people. We're not solving it. Like all that CSI shit, they ain't got nothing. They barely got bags to put evidence in, guys. They're using Ziplocs. All right. That's the budget in most of your states. They got donuts.
Good Ziplocs, like great value Ziplocs. Sandwich bags.
Is they're collecting DNA. Oh,
Anyway.
It's more like Miami PD than it is CSI. You got the guy in the biker shorts running around. Hey, guys.
It's sad when Reno 911 is more realistic than actual cops.
You know, I wonder what vintage this semen is. I can taste it and tell you guys. No!
Oh, that is not a conversation for morning time.
Well, it's afternoon. I figure everyone's already.
Oh, see, I still got 10 minutes here. So.
Oh, no. See, I'm afternoon. I'm allowed to make those videos. I always say this is the program where we make you going to church matter. Because now you have something to confess to next week again. I know there are people who go to their pastor every time. I'm telling you, Pastor, I'm good. I'm good for 10 minutes. And I go see Rob show in the car on the way home, and it's over. It's over. I laughed at his dirty jokes. Where were we? Let's see. Well said, Rob. See, someone liked the semen joke. No, that was something.
Oh, poor Joe. Poor Joe.
Meredith, don't tell him the password. It's okay. The Russians got it. They'll just give it to you. Make him watch with you. That could be like that comment out of context could be. Make him watch. Burn the family treasure. He will never do that to you again. Make him watch you burn his clothes. See if he watches The Mandalorian with you again. Never. I have deep regrets falling.
Or I was going to say, well, I don't. No, it's not my story to share.
That's a good one for off screen.
Yeah. I'll share it off screen.
Well, we do that all the time. Ooh,
really?
Walking and Talking Dead. Is that code, Michael?
I have no idea. I think she's saying. I don't know.
It's all right. Shh. It's okay, Michael.
Meredith, this one's for you.
Hey, yo.
Rob and I text right to the point. LO, your link is mixed up. Crap, I need to fix that. Not sure how. Do it like this. Okay, thanks. That sounds so dirty. Like you take the link out. And Rob and I just get right to the point. You're messed up. Crap, I need to fix that. Not sure how. Do it like this. Okay, thanks. Boomer to me means life experience. You know what? Like, I mean, sometimes it really is. I mean, if you're gonna, you're a boomer. Like, really, is that an insult? Is that an insult? The greatest generation? Oh no, they weren't. Were they the greatest? No, they were something. I don't know. But they survived. They did civil rights. They fucked up our economies to the point where we can't repair it anymore. That's right. Still a shot at you, boomers. And they were yuppies. You know, like, I mean, like, what have you earned, millennials? What have you earned? You can't even protest right. You keep throwing things. That's not a protest. That's a riot. You guys keep confusing the two. Everyone thought it was funny, but they won't laugh on camera. Like, no, I'm not laughing at that one on camera. That was a bad one. I kid. No, but millennials have done some good stuff. All things aside, millennials are actually now in their 20s. Like, everyone talks shit about these, but these people are now in their 20s and almost 30s now, the millennials. Mm-hmm. Just really think about that. How old do you feel now, right? Like,
I think at some point we have to be nice to them because they're going to be changing our diapers soon.
No, I smoked enough and did enough bad shit in my life. That won't be a problem. That won't be a problem. I'm checking out around the 60s, you know?
And I'm going to put on a Halloween costume from the 80s and go out in style.
Cigarette, yeah. They're even legal by
Burning C-3PO. Woo!
You know what I don't understand? This I don't understand about the millennial generation. My generation, we didn't know smoking was bad. Like, we knew it could be bad. We didn't know how bad it really was because they were hiding a lot of stuff. And, you know, you were like, oh, it can't be that bad. The government had stopped it. We were like, fuckers, why would you let them still sell this now, right? Like, we were really mad as a generation. Cigarette companies almost went out of business. They made fucking flavored cigarettes, and all this next generation was like, I'm just going to forget everything I heard and think this is okay now. Look, it's fancy. It's a machine. It can't kill me. I don't understand how vaping became a thing. And this is coming from a former smoker. You know what I mean? Like, there are times I smell cigarettes and there's that receptor in your brain. It's like, why did you give up doing the right thing in life? Oh. Everything would have been better if you smoked right now. You know, so I get it, but like, why would you go into vaping? I don't understand it.
When vaping first came out, it was marketed as a way to take your nicotine down so that you would quit smoking. That's how it started. And then the millennials got a hold of it and started making it a fashion statement. So,
like, this is raspberry nicotine.
Yeah, with the flavors is definitely it. This definitely was a market.
And I'll be honest, as a former smoker, I was kind of insulted. I liked Marlboro Reds.
Okay.
I liked it. It felt like it was burning me in from the inside out. I enjoyed.
Did you ever get to a point where you woke up in the morning and you just went, and there was smoke?
No comment.
That was fun.
I never got that bad. I did know I had some friends that would actually wake up in the middle of the night to smoke and then go back to bed.
I did that a couple times. I've woken up too, and like from the night before, and you put it out and you drink, and you forgot you put it out and you drink, and you drank your drink, and you.
Oh.
I did that a couple times.
And you're like, blah blah blah. What is that?
Not again.
I'm surprised I never burnt to death. I would pass out with cigarettes. I woke up one time like the cigarette's still lit, just holding on to my goatee. Just there, getting closer and closer. I woke up in time, but that could have been a bad Michael Jackson story right there.
Yeah, right. Richard Pryor.
You know,
I was up to 2 packs a day, sometimes more, depending on whether or not it was working. Because at that point, we were smoking in bars.
Yep, smoking in bars, smoking at work. Back in the back room, you were smoking.
Yeah.
Fucking idiots! You're all stupid. You're lucky I smoke, or you'd be fucking dead. Clouds of smoke coming off. I have to admit, though, when I quit smoking, I became more productive as a worker. Like, 'cause I didn't have to stop anymore when they made me angry. I was just more motivated. But to this, like right now, I'm like, all right, I've tried this without. I'm about to go smoke again. Like, just the idea of it. Like, there was nothing nicer than a nice cigarette on a cold day. Or like when you had a cough and you told yourself, this will make it better. This is going to cure everything. Like right now, it's like, I wouldn't have COVID if it was smoking, you know, like that would be the thing. Like everyone would be like, the cigarettes will cure COVID. It can't get into your lungs if you don't have any. Joe says we have a better grasp on generation reality as Gen Xers. I think we really do, because we were raised by a generation that we saw basically shit the bed. Like they made so much positive change and became yuppies, and we were like, fuck.
Yeah, and our grandparents went through the Depression. Yeah, you know.
And we went through like watching our national security just eroded with September 11th. We got all the disinformation. We realized that we're never going to be told the truth. Right. Our generation's really the first generation that was really let know you're never going to get the truth. We're not going to give it to you.
Yeah, but we're also the generation that'll sit here and say, bullshit. We just call bullshit on everything.
That's why we don't get involved in a lot of shit. We don't have the patience. We, as a generation, do not have the patience for your bullshit. Participation trophies were not started by a Gen X. You see parents out there still to this date who will be like, fuck it out of my house. There's no participation. You don't get sprinkles. No sprinkles. Not even ice cream. Get the fucking phone. Fucking shit. That's the generation. But then you get these new parents. I've had like, I'm 40 and I have a younger kid and I have these younger parents around me at times. And they'll be like, do you do you make sure that you ask him permission when you want him to do something?
Oh my god!
You say to me?
Right?
What?
I'm like, wait, who's the parent?
Do you spank your kid? Do you really think hitting a kid gets them to behave? I'm like, well, I did it to his mom, and that made her behave.
Oh,
I've got to get me a snare.
I forget.
Rim shots all over. I heard it. Never mind.
Welcome to Sunday Brunch.
Oh man! Merry Christmas, everybody.
Merry Christmas. You have now a reason to get confession.
You're welcome.
We had to buy smokes all the time. Like I'm telling you, no one stopped us as kids buying smokes. Like we could have been smoking 10 packs a day. They wouldn't have cared. Mm-hmm. Like no one cared about our generation growing up. We were literally able to get away with so much. We didn't come home till the street lights came on. I want you to understand that. No one knew where we were for 12, 13 hours at a clip. I remember we just grab like stuff and go into the woods. You could never do that. You could never do that with your kids now. Like you can't if my kid's 6 feet from me, they're like, people would steal a kid. You have to be more careful. And I'm like, yeah, they're creepy people talking to me right now about it. That make me want to punch them. Like, who goes up to someone and goes, you should watch your kid more. There are people who steal them. I'm like, are you confessing? Like, fuck. I was like, shit, don't go near my kid no more. Like, oh my God, yes, my kid can be 6 feet away from me. I don't mind. You want to know why? Because I raised him right. Anyone goes near him, he says, Daddy. That's doing it right. When anyone goes near my son too close, he calls my name now. I didn't have to teach him that. He knows. He knows because I say, stay near Daddy to stay safe. I've raised him that way. And you do have to watch your kids. No, I'm not trying to pick on that, but 6 feet is okay, guys. I can see him. It's fine. Because if anyone tries to take my kid, I will throw whatever's closest to me at their head and then demolish. I won't say what I would do on camera because then, God forbid it ever happens. They play this clip. But
track you down that way.
They'll be like, well, at this time you said this. I would just say this. Hypothetically, imagine if you had, Frosty the Snowman in an oven. I'm just, that's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. What else do we got today? I smoke cigs every now and then just to remind me why I don't. They are pretty nasty. Now, I do admit, like 6 months after I quit smoking, I had a really bad day. A computer had died. My job I had to go do a double for the next 5 days because someone had suddenly been arrested. So I was stressing out. And it was only 6 months in, and I went to smoking. And your heart feels different when you're smoking and all that. It's like when you give up drinking, and the first time you have a drink, after it, you're like, why did I like this? I feel dizzy. It feels like I have the flu. And, I started smoking because I was a rebellious, stupid teenager, and I started drinking for the same reasons because I just didn't care. I didn't want to live past 18, 20. I was one of those kids who didn't care. I had no plan for college or anything like that. Most of my early shit, anytime I do something, people know me from being a kid. I can't believe you survived. I'm with you. I lived a lot more than you even know, and I can't believe the shit I survived. But smoking was one of those things, when I quit, and I think I've told Meredith this. I quit smoking because of a dog. My dog, Roxy, who passed away, we had to put her down. She had really bad hips, and she was having problems last year. One of the worst things, by the way, I'll never put a dog down again because it is not what you think it is. There's nothing nice about it. I will let the dog go to the last minute that I can. But when she was a puppy, she walked up to me, and I was smoking at that time, and she wanted to sniff what I was doing, and I didn't realize what she was doing, so I used to sit on my steps and smoke out the door. She sniffed and started coughing, and I don't know why. The lawsuits were out. We knew it was bad. That broke my heart. That literally broke my heart, and the idea that I could be giving this dog possibly cancer because she's going to hang around with me made me quit that day, and I smoked one other cigarette. I bought the cigarettes that bad day, and that was the last time I ever smoked a cigarette. I miss cigars, though. Cigars were nice, but I'm always afraid that if I do a cigar, I'll go right back.
Back in smoking, yeah.
So I worry about that. And he says, "You all know what I smoke. I don't like pot. I honestly, I'm against drugs. I don't think pot should be as easily gotten. So I think people are pretty stupid already. I think we need to take like 80. What is it like the what are the things that they put in the milk now? They put something in the milk. I forgot what it is. It's like ADHE or something like that, or ADE. There's like a chemical they put. It's basically from fish, and it's supposed to make your brain smarter. That's what we need now. People are dumb enough.
Yeah.
All drugs should be gotten.
I've never had a problem with pot, ever. But all of the other ones, heroin, cocaine, crack, all of those other things, it's like no. But I've tried marijuana, and it makes me paranoid. So it was like if I feel like, if I'm sitting there and everybody else is all relaxed and they get the munchies, and I'm sitting there like, what was that? You don't know I'm high, right? And then there was no reason for me to try anything harder.
I want everyone to consider this. Imagine giving me drugs. Do you still think? Do you really think they should be legal now? Imagine someone like me on drugs. Right now, everyone's like, "Oh shit, we gotta stop it now." Remember who you're allowing to do drugs. Think of your craziest friend that you're voting to legalize.
But think about this, okay? So my husband, his drink of choice was Jack Daniels, I think it was, and tequila, and I think Wild Turkey, and like the one time I think just because he could, he took a baseball bat to his friend. I was like, oh, that's not good, but that's legal. That's all right.
I don't find a problem with the baseball to a friend. Actually, I'm okay.
And that's why we don't need to give you drugs.
Or the one time that they're on the back, the patio, and the guys are out there, they're just taking a piss off the back of the patio, and there's like, hey, how you doing? And the one guy just falls off, like 10 feet.
Those are fun stories, though. You're burying the biggest part of it. He fell into the piss.
That's true.
Right? And
and they kept on pissing. So.
2 out of 3 guys didn't even flinch.
You're like, oh, that sucks, dude. You okay?
Hey, if you're okay, say okay. Okay, he's gonna say okay, aim for his mouth.
Oh yes, a little too late for that, Pops.
We were the experts at being
latchy kids, yeah.
I'm an advocate. You know how that goes. Yeah, I mean, once you start to advocate and you're serious about it, you don't take sides, you get beat up. That's the truth of advocating. Like when you advocate for people that aren't just your friends, people start telling you who and what, and it's just, I hate that people think they have power over other people and will threaten things like friendships. Oh, well, if you're going to associate with them, then you can't cover anything for me. Okay. Okay, bye. Okay, bye. Because there's going to be 100 more creators right after you. And as far as some of the places making it okay to do meth and heroin, like Oregon, I think that's crazy. I agree. Pot, once again, I think it's more fun when it's illegal. That's me. I mean,
I agree.
But I mean, pot's not really going to hurt anyone. It's just going to make them dumber. And I hate the fact that I can smell it when people are driving. Because you shouldn't be driving and smoking. I don't care how good you are, you should not. And that happens a lot down here in Florida. And I'll tell you right now, if I ever get in a car accident and someone is stoned, I will sue the ever-loving hell out of their insurance company and them, and I'll own them because that's dangerous. I know people already killed people because they were high. They were rich, so they got away with it, and that's just the truth. Because there's no right on-demand tests. And unless they arrest you, and a lot of times they won't arrest you during an accident, and even if they try to arrest you, you can ask to go to the hospital, and the hospital can't run blood unless they ask you if they have permission. There's so many ways to do illegal things that it's just dangerous, and that's what makes me afraid of the drug use. I don't care if you want to get stoned at home. I have no problem with that. I care that also that there are people who use drugs as a reason to do things and then claim things afterwards. Like, the one thing I had the biggest problem with, like the Bill Cosby thing, not saying he was a good guy, but a lot of women knew they were taking drugs when they were taking drugs with him. That's an icky place. So making it more available, people are going to use these things for bad reasons. They're going to get people more stoned and get people drunk and get people high to take advantage of them. And that's only going to lead to more bad things. The easier we make it, the worse it's going to be. We should all be sober in life. It's just the truth. What's the point if you can't be sober in life, you know? Let's see. Damn fingers. Don't get stoned and drive. Don't drive baked. Make up my mind's fingers. He's still having trouble texting, but it's the truth. Don't kill someone because you want to get high or drunk or anything else. You want to have a party, have a party. That's what life should be. If you're getting stoned every day, you have the wrong life. You know, you really do. Like, that means that you're trying to hide. The same thing with taking antidepressants. They shouldn't be something you take indefinitely. They should be something that helps you get over a hump, unless you have a disorder, and then it's not an antidepressant. They actually put you on other things to help you rebalance your off-balance things. But if you're getting stoned in the middle of that process, you're ruining everything. That's just say no to drugs, kids, unless they're illegal. Try to have fun with them.
And even still, there's still medical reasons for marijuana, because there's I can't remember what he has. If it's what's it called? The same thing Michael J. Fox has.
Parkinson's. Oh, Parkinson's.
Yeah, and he shakes really bad, but if he goes and he smokes a joint, it lessens that shaking. In fact, it might stop completely. So,
but he also does the one without THC.
Probably, I have no idea. Don't ask me.
I saw the article. He actually, and that medically, it's the same thing. We can use medical without the THC, and it should be legal in every state.
Yeah.
Again, if done right, I don't care if people are getting stoned. I care about heroin. No one should be on heroin.
Golly, tell me about it.
No one should be on PCP. Cocaine's probably not as bad, as we make it out to be, but crack certainly is, because these things too.
Absolutely.
And disparagingly to lower income communities. Yeah. And it hurts generations. I mean, drug abuse is a real thing. We shouldn't have a war on crime. We should have a war on making everyone's lives better so we don't have to get stoned and high. Imagine if we all lived in a country that actually gave a shit about its citizens and gave things like stimulus checks when we're suffering. All right, we're out of here. We'll be back next week to gripe about the year 2020 and hopefully find some good in it. Go around the room. And by the way, next week, please come on and tell us what you're doing in 2021. We want to look forward a lot next week. And then the following week will be a big thing about looking forward. The 8-page challenge, by the way, the panel 1 from the Creators Connection comes out December 28th. All right, Meredith. Michael, you're up.
All right, I'm Steve Michael Lanning. Check me out on Facebook, Twitter. Look for Steve Michael Lanning. Also on the Silverline streams on Wednesdays and sometimes on Sundays, like tonight. All right.
I always forget how short you are.
When I have more stuff, I'll be able to say more stuff.
Fair enough.
All right, Meredith Lochran. So you can find me at linktr.ee/MEREJ99. That's where you're going to find all of my links. I have got a crowdfund that I'm getting ready to launch on the 29th. Is it the 29th, I want to say? The 29th. So in a week and a couple of days, that is the Compendium of Dread. It is an anthology of dark fiction. There is one story in there, The Dying, that has already got art and it's been scripted out. I am doing the lettering today, period. And that is my goal. And hopefully that will be in the continuum. So Rob is going to tear into my lettering because this is going to be my first attempt at doing that. And that's really it. Tune into Geek Insider, tune into Comic Book Advocates Network. Make sure that you're following us on YouTube and Facebook and all that good stuff. Rob.
Real quick, the news will continue on Twitter and on our days. Every day we'll get their news except for Christmas Day and New Year's Day. And we will be back on I think we said it was like January 6th with the news, the first news when we finally name it. In January, I'll tell you that right now. No, the 5th. It is the 5th. January 5th will be our first news of 2021. And on our way out today, we wish you a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and a new year full of comics and wonderful memories. Thanks for tuning in. This has been The Breakfast Brunch. We have one more in 2020, and then we're out of the year as well. So here we where is it? I'm trying to look for the end one. I always try to play the first one by accident.
There's a lot of stuff in that folder, Rob.
Yeah.
You might have to create a new one.
There's a lot of things I do. I stuff. Here it is. See you guys.